Let's talk UFC on ESPN 46. Kai France versus Amir Albazi. Look, I'm not going to say they went to war, but it was a solid fight, an important one for the flyweight division. There's a saying, quote, may the best man win, unquote. According to MMA decisions, KKF got the nod overall over there, 19-2, according to the pundits there. Now, two of them had it 48-47 for Albazi, 9 had it 48-47 for France, and 10 had it 49-46 for France. That's kind of how I had it, 48-47 with the possibility of even a 49-46 France. So let's hear it, guys. Your score and reaction to the decision. Back to Toronto, the MMA media titan, Mike Vaughn.
I thought Kai France won. I thought he had round 1, 4, and 5. It was close though, right? Like watching these fights, especially flyweights, right? Like there's the action in there is happening insanely quick. There's some strikes you don't even see land, things like that. I can't imagine the difficulty of watching that in real time as a judge without the benefit of replays and slow motion and stuff. You got one shot to analyze it, then you got to hand in your scorecard seconds after the round concludes. So I think people also need to take into account that portion of the reality of judging fights. It's not easy, especially these flyweights that are insanely quick. But I do think the decision was wrong. I thought France won clearly enough 3 of these rounds. I'm not going to sit here and scream robbery. I've said this, too many times to count on the show. Close fights are not always robberies. We're talking about a difference of 1 close round here, right? Like it feels like looking back, round 1 was probably the swing round here and how people scored it each way. So like you're telling me that 1 round, the opening round that was close, defines it as a robbery. That's just not the reality. It was a close fight, maybe the wrong decision, but I think, they did get it wrong here, but it was close, man. So I can't really sit here screaming from the high heavens if they weren't able to do more definitive to create more separation on the scorecards.
This is a tough one because Goes and I also rewatched it, and those rounds were close, but at the same time, yeah, right now robbery is going to get thrown out, and that also gets on my nerves. But 19-2 on MMA decision, so it's like we all kind of slanted a certain way. I'll let the other two chime in. I don't want to speak on their behalf, but it's a lot of people slanted one way, but the rounds were close. So as much as you want to say robbery, you really can't. But anyway, back to Danny.
Yeah, see, I have a very similar take to Mike's, but not entirely. I do agree it was not a robbery. I am actually okay with 48-47 for either guy. I scored it for Kai France. My scorecard, I don't know if Kenny can put here the official scorecards. I don't know if that's in handy. But I had it like Mike Bell, which was 10-9 first round for Kai France. Second and third, 10-9 for Amir Albazi. And then fourth and fifth, 10-9 for Kai France, giving me a 48-47. I do think rounds 2 and 3 were clear for Amir, and I do think rounds 4 and 5 were clear for Kai France. It was that first round that it came down to. So I agree with Mike Bell. Sal D'Amato had it that way, but in the first round, he had it 10-9 for Amir Albazi. That's why he goes 48-47 with Amir, and that's completely fine. Where I have an issue is Chris Lee. He gave the 4th round to Amir Albazi. So first round to Kai France, 2, 3, and 4 to Amir, and then 5th to Kai France. I don't know how you can score that 4th round for Amir Albazi. And I think that's where all the sort of rage and chaos and criticism on Twitter come from. Again, close fight. I don't hate the fact that Amir Albazi got his hand raised. At the end of the day, we saw a pretty competitive fight, 2 very skilled guys. And you can't say Amir Albazi is not top 5 quality. I mean, not only he went to a decision, but a very close decision with number 3, right? The problem is that 4th round. I do think that, I don't know, Chris Lee has some accountability here to do, some answers to give. I don't know how the hell you score that 4th round for Amir Albazi. So that's the only wrinkle that I'd like to add to this.
Okay, Fada, scorecard and reaction.
I agree with what a lot of what Danny said. I think you either look at this fight 1-2-3 Amir or 1-4-5 Kai France. So I think the issue with Chris Lee's scorecard, round 4, scoring it for Albazi is the issue that I have here. I rewatched the fight. I always have to do that. I do pull all-nighters and I'm staying in the middle of the night. It's hard. I was actually surprised when I looked at the stats and Kai Kara-France had outlanded Amir by that much. I didn't necessarily feel it in the fight because Amir was the one pressing forward. And I think this is where the judges could sway towards Amir because he was the one pressing the action. I know he failed on a couple of takedowns. He did get him down in round 3. I think that was his round. He did come very close to choking him out. I saw Amir or his team kind of complaining about glove grabs. Angle was not clear for me to make any judgment because the way he had his arm under his neck, I couldn't see what I heard a warning from the ref, I think. But regardless, that round was his. I don't think the debate is too much on round 3. I think it comes down to round 1. It was very close. Are you looking at Amir pressing forward, pressing the action, or are you looking at Kai Kara-France outlanding him? I know Kara-France outlanded him throughout the whole fight. Here's the scorecard being pulled up. So you've got one judge that gave I think it was Kai Kara-France, or 2 judges that gave him round 1 and 1 gave it to Amir. So yeah, the scorecards are all over the place. I think it depends, but it was very, very close. Rewatch that fight. I urge people to rewatch that fight before they get outraged. Like Mike said, it doesn't deserve that kind of outrage. When you rewatch the fight, you'll see, did Amir Albazi slow down towards the fight? The end of the fight? Absolutely. And I think that visual is what helped a lot of people be outraged by the outcome, just because he was starting to get a little bit busted up around the nose area. He started to look like he was tiring out towards the latter round. So I think that visual as well made people think, like, how did Kai Kara-France not win this fight? I think it's a lot closer than what people made it out to be.
Here's the weird thing too. Rounds 1, 4, and 5, 2 judges scored it for Kai Kara-France. It's just the arithmetic works differently when you get a shutout like you did in rounds 2 and 3, where all the judges scored it for Amir Albazi. But let me ask you guys this. Round 3, I did have sort of an issue. Okay, so Albazi is taking the rear naked choke. It's a little sloppy, but he's doing a nice job juggling the body triangles. He's got hooks in, right? He's trying to go in. Kai Kara-France is fighting. He does have one hand in there. He's reaching. He's trying to take the pressure off. But in the end, with about 40 seconds left, he manages to stand up, shake him off, and then he's on top. He throws some elbows. They look like they landed. You could hear some thumping, at least 4 or 5 of them. A couple follow-up punches. I'm not too concerned about those. But that damage, a lot of people thought, including myself, that might have been enough to maybe steal back the round. What did you guys feel about round 3? Real quick, please, Mike.
Yeah, it's just, that's one of the things, right? Like the scoring criteria is so open to interpretation and how you really feel about it, right? Like, what is the better thing? Yeah, I know we say damage is ultimately the number one criteria that they should lean towards, but like, the guy that choke was almost deep at one point. Like the commentators are being like, he's done, all that kind of stuff. I know they sometimes over exaggerate in that moments, but that was like a very compromising position. And yeah, maybe submission attempts don't come with the most damage, but like is a couple elbows over a few seconds outweighing minutes of back control and submission attempts. Like this is the point where like the, I guess, vagueness of the scoring criteria comes into play and how one person may value something different. And that's where, as long as you have human error and actual people sitting in those chairs, like you're going to get this kind of stuff unless you want to overhaul the scoring criteria and make it much more definitively defined.
Mm-hmm. All right. Danny or Potter, did you want to weigh in? Did round 3, did you think Kai Kara-France maybe did enough at the end, or was it a clear Albazi round?
No, I think for me it was clear Albazi. I mean, you take the back, you control, and you threaten with a rear naked choke, which in my opinion looked pretty tight. I mean, Kai Kara-France really had a struggle with that one. Yeah. That to me was, I had no difficulty scoring it for Albazi.
Okay, Fada?
I thought that was the clearest round or easiest round to score, considering that the other rounds, when you look at them, these flyweights are so talented and they're good everywhere, and Kara-France showed good takedown defense throughout, and it was more of a volume versus aggression type of fight. And Amir Albazi landed some solid shots as well, but Kara-France outlanded him pretty big when you look at the stats. But yeah, I thought round 3 was the clearest to score.
All right, fair enough. I respect all 3 of you, so I'll have to go back and rewatch Pie in My Face for now.